novels have been transferred to stage, film and radio, with their television adaptations on ITV lasting over a decade and achieving ratings of over 10 million viewers. Besides writing, she was an innovative painter, and she believed that her father's genes fostered the strength to work hard, but also in rare moments of freedom to strive to better herself. Catherine was famed for her care of money, but had given much to charities, hospitals and medical research in areas close to her heart, and to the University of Newcastle upon Tyne, who set up a lectureship in haematology. The Catherine Cookson Charitable Trust continues to donate generously to charitable causes. The university later conferred her the honorary degree of Master of Arts. She received the freedom of the borough of South Tyneside, today known as Catherine Cookson Country. The Variety Club of Great Britain named her Writer of the Year, and she was voted Personality of the North East. Other honours followed: an Officer of the Order of the British Empire in 1986, and she was created Dame of the British Empire in 1993. She was appointed an Honorary Fellow at St Hilda's College, Oxford, in 1997. Throughout her life, but especially in her later years, she was plagued by a rare vascular disease, telangiectasia, which caused bleeding from her nose, fingers and stomach, and resulted in anemia. As her health declined, she and her husband moved for a final time to Jesmond in Newcastle upon Tyne, to be nearer medical facilities. For the last few years of her life she was bedridden, and Tom hardly ever left her bedside, looking after her needs, cooking for her, and taking her on her emergency trips, often in the middle of the night, into Newcastle. Their lives were still made up of the 7-day week and 12 or more hours each day going over the fan mail, attending to charities, and going over the latest dictated book, with Tom meticulously making corrections line by line, for Catherine's eyesight had long faded in her 80s. This most remarkable woman passed away on June the 11th, 1998, at the age of 91. Tom, 6 years her junior, had earlier suffered a heart attack, but survived long enough to be with her at the end. He passed away on the 28th of June, just 17 days after his beloved Catherine. Part 1. Thomas Mallen. Chapter 1. High Banks Hall showed its sparsely windowed back to beautiful woodland and the town of Allendale in the far distance, whilst its buttressed and emblazoned and many-windowed face looked out over formal gardens onto mountainous land, so austere and wild that even its short summer beauty brought no paeans of praise, except from those who had been bred within the rigours of its bosom. Away to the south lay Nine Banks Peel. To the north was the lovely little West Allen village of Whitfield, but staring the hall straight in the face were the hills, for most part bare and barren, and rising to miniature mountains which, on this day, Tuesday the 25th of February 1851, were thickly crusted with snow, not white, but pale pink, being tinged for the time being by the straining rays of a weak sun. The hall was fronted by a terrace bordered by an open balustrade, its parapet festooned with stone balls, and each pillar at the top of the steps, which led to the drive, was surmounted by a moss-stained naked Cupid. The doors to the house were double, and of black oak, studded with large iron nails, which gave the impression that it had withstood the attack of a fusillade of bullets. Over the door was a coat of arms composed of 3 shields. Above it a Latin inscription had been cut into the stone, which roughly translated read, "Man is compassionate because he gave God a mother." At first the inscription appeared to have religious connotations, but when dissected it proved to many to be blasphemous. Thomas Wigmore Mallen, who built the hall in 1767, had himself composed the inscription, and had explained to those interested the deep significance of the motto, which was that God, in the first place,